The Me I Choose to Be, written by Natasha Anastasia Tarpley, with art by Regis and Catherine Bethencourt. Some may think they know who I am, but here's what you must understand. My creativity and curiosity flow without end, and if I meet an obstacle, I just begin again. I am a planet, a limitless galaxy, and I am the me I choose to be. I am hope, passed down through generations. I am a bridge builder, connecting people and nations. I am a weaver of words that quickly take flight and stretch into stories, fluttering off into the night. I am a conjurer, imagining realms that aren't yet there. I am a maker, a creator, shaping a new world we all can share. My creativity and curiosity flow without end, and if I meet an obstacle, I just begin again. I am a planet, a limitless galaxy, and I am the me I choose to be. I am joyful as a bubbly, rushing river. I am sad as a trickling tear. I am a tiny bird watching the world from afar. I am a friend who loves to be near. And there's something else about me, maybe harder to see. I am not that cool. I don't always know what to say, and every so often I go the wrong way. Sometimes it seems I have 2 left feet, but that just means I am a free spirit. I move to the rhythm of my own heartbeat. I am a star dancing across the night sky. I am the night sky, unnoticed as stars fly by. It's hard not to care when people pretend you aren't there. But then I remember my creativity and curiosity flow without end, and if I meet an obstacle, I just begin again. I am a planet, a limitless galaxy, and I am the me I choose to be. I am a superhero, yet unnamed. I am a laughter that falls like rain, making room for joy to grow. I am a gardener, planting dreams the world will know. I am wind with the strength to bend trees. I am light, traveling the universe with ease. I am the winding road to a fantastic adventure. I am a home where love lives at the center. I am all these things and more, you see, because I am the me I choose to be. Womanist is a term first defined by Alice Walker in her 1983 book, In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, Womanist Prose, in which she writes, womanist, from womanish, opposite of girlish, that is, frivolous, irresponsible, not serious. A Black feminist or feminist of color. From the Black folk expression of mothers to female children, you acting womanish, that is like a woman, usually referring to outrageous, audacious, courageous, or willful behavior, wanting to know more and in greater depth than is considered good for one, interested in grown-up doings, acting grown up, being grown up, interchangeable with another Black folk expression, you trying to be grown, responsible, in charge, serious. Also, a woman who loves other women sexually and or non-sexually, appreciates and prefers women's culture, women's emotional flexibility, values tears as natural counterbalance of laughter, and women's strength. Sometimes loves individual men sexually and or non-sexually, committed to survival and wholeness of entire people, male and female, not a separatist, except periodically for health. Traditionally a universalist, as in, Mama, why are we brown, pink, and yellow, and our cousins are white, beige, and Black? Answer, well, you know the colored race is just like a flower garden with every color flower represented. Traditionally capable, as in, Mama, I'm walking to Canada and I'm taking you and a bunch of other slaves with me. Reply, it wouldn't be the first time. Loves music, loves dance, loves the moon, loves the spirit, loves love and food and roundness, loves struggle, loves the folk, loves herself regardless. Womanist is to feminist as purple is to lavender. On many a morning at about 4 or 5 a.m., I feel myself awakened by my grandmothers, both of who crossed over as ancestors many decades ago. So I get up and attune my being and listening to their presence. I give thanks to my grandmothers for awakening me. Thank you, Mariah Lillian. Thank you, Portia. And I invite your presence to be here with us for these moments. Welcome. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. I discovered from my mother a few years ago that I almost grew up, not in Brooklyn, New York, where I had lived much of my life, but in South Carolina, brought there when I was born because there was no other child care, affordable or otherwise, available to my working parents who were living in New York. My mother deposited me into her mother's arms, which I suppose made perfect sense for a daughter to do when she had nowhere else to turn. But within 6 months, my mother realized that her mother was unable to take care of me because she and my sharecropper grandfather had barely enough to care for themselves and their own 4 children. So my parents traveled almost 100 miles to my father's mother, a recent widow with 7 children of her own, who welcomed me as one more. And there I remained for a year until my parents, alarmed that their toddler did not know who they were when they came to visit, immediately brought me back to Brooklyn and somehow managed to figure out the child care situation. My grandmother, Mariah Lillian, a quiet woman who smiled softly, lived a beleaguered existence as a sharecropper's wife in one of the poor rural hamlets just out beyond Myrtle Beach, a place quietly evil and hard to live in for Black people. And if you were to go there today, you would find this still to be true. Mariah Lillian, by all appearance, is docile and so quiet-spoken I can barely recall the sound of her voice. Lived a difficult life, but in her quietness, she assisted my mother in concocting a plan to leave the sharecropping fields for New York, while my grandfather John was out working in those fields. Lillian, as most people called her, wanted something more from my mother. And so this small act of subversion toward the man who owned the fields and toward her very own husband was a gift of possibility to my mother and ultimately to me and my sisters. My paternal grandmother, Portia, and the generations that were her family lived in Paxville, South Carolina, a 1 square mile village founded in the 1770s in Clarendon County, where the evils and horrors of white supremacy ideology reigned, but which my grandmother shielded my sister and me from during our summer visits in, once again, my parents' only solution to childcare. During a year that my sister and I still to this day refer to as Snake Summer, a rattlesnake got into my grandmother Portia's hog pen, and she immediately got her shotgun and shot the rattlesnake more than once until it was dead. I was awed. I hadn't even known she owned a shotgun. She did the same thing on another day when one appeared right outside the hen house. And when a snake appeared while she was in her garden, she took her gardening hoe and chopped it to bits. And when my cousin and I later disobeyed her and built a tree house in the woods against her wishes, she got her axe and within minutes chopped that to bits too. It took me years to realize that she did it all out of love and worry that her granddaughters from up north would fall out of a tree or otherwise come to harm. Portia was powerful, strong, capable, and independent. It seemed to me there was little she could not do. Though as I think about the realities of her life, I know I am wrong. But as a little girl, this seemed true to me, and that was important. When I went to visit her years later, she in her 80s and I a young mother, I discovered that she was actually a very small-statured woman, but nonetheless strong and proud. These two women who almost raised me forever influenced my life, both committed to those they loved. One strong-willed and ready to defend what was hers to defend, and the other, with quiet acts of subversion, gave life to her daughter, who would give life to her daughters, who would give life to their sons. When I am hard-pressed by anything, my memories of my grandmothers fill me with quiet courage and vision I have needed to go on. These simple rural women deeply understood how to make a way out of no way, a phrase I grew up hearing all the time and only understood later to be much more than the making of something out of nothing, but instead as deliberate and powerful co-creative acts of faith in the possibilities that exist in this present moment. Possibilities seen and possibilities unseen, and in the moments beyond it. A deeply spiritual faith that is not about a singular religious belief, but is bound in a love that is claimed in the midst of seeming impossibilities. Love that is sometimes hard, but as the character Baby Suggs from Toni Morrison's novel Beloved says, a love that is rooted in the pain and joy of knowing that this flesh needs to be loved. And more than anything, this beating heart must love itself as its greatest gift. I was a young woman when I first read Alice Walker's definition of womanist, and I was startled by the profound recognition of myself in it all. Not only because my mother had constantly cautioned me to stop acting grown when I was a girl, but because, as with no other word, for the first time, I saw described my experiences and meaning-making in the world, the very core of my grandmother's, my mother, and myself, even the self I didn't know how to claim yet. Womanist is how we, on the furthest margin, know our world, love ourselves, our families, communities, and this nation. It is how we have raised babies, even other people's babies, and also built movements. We have long understood that when what we most want is beyond individualistic ambition or gain, but the more important care and upliftment of family and community while seeking freedom and justice for all in this nation. And I am offering you no superficial cliches here. Whether it has been for voting rights, anti-lynching laws, civil or workers' rights, Black women have experientially understood that the ultimate demand is for human rights and liberation for us all. Even the Black Lives Matter movement, begun by Black women, is rooted in the contention that none of us is free when Black people aren't free. And for all of us to matter, Black lives have got to matter. Womanist theologian Kelly Brown Douglas, who holds the Bill and Judith Moyer's Chair of Theology at Union Theological Seminary in New York, has said, "It is from those people on the furthest margin that we must begin to understand what justice looks like. When the people who have not experienced justice say, 'That looks like justice,' then we know we are on the arc that bends toward justice. If we don't start with those voices and the reality of the marginalized, then we begin to confuse justice with privilege." Brown goes on to say that when we're talking about justice, we are not talking about trying to gain the privileges that others have, the patriarchal privilege that men have, or the white privilege that those raised white have, or the heterosexual privilege that non-LGBTQ plus persons have. She says, we're talking about dismantling the systems and structures that have granted such unjust privilege and undue penalty. We're talking about moving toward a freedom, a wholeness, where everybody can be respected as the sacred children of God that they are. It's not a fight against white people or anybody else. It's just a fight for justice. And this is no small request in a nation steeped in foul contradiction. Having proposed a lofty democratic vision at its founding with white supremacy embedded in its structure and systems. Many say we have not seen as much division in our nation today as we're experiencing in this time since the Civil War. Indeed, the Reverend Douglass says that this country is at war with its own soul. What we are actually seeing is our engaging in a 21st century inversion of the Civil War, where the nation has to make a decision about who it wants to become. In other words, what possibility do we want to live into? Not just in the future, but in this present moment. As if in direct response, it is difficult to ignore that Black women, most especially, have risen, are rising into major roles of leadership, both locally and nationally. My own southern city, Durham, North Carolina, now has a Black woman mayor, a chief of police, district attorney, county commissioner, and members of the city council, all Black women. And when I think about the South, my mother and grandmothers had to carefully navigate as they lived and loved what is now occurring in Durham, North Carolina, which has been named one of the best places to live in America. This seems nothing short of a miracle, though in actuality, it's the very real outcome of living actively and fully into possibility. And of course, on the national level, there is Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first Black woman nominated to the United States Supreme Court. And we cannot forget our Vice President, Kamala Harris. And I would also be remiss if I did not say the names of Vice President Harris's forebearers who paved the way for her possibility as vice president. For instance, Congresswoman Shirley Anita Chisholm, who is the first woman of any race to run for president in a major party. She did so in 1972, 50 years ago, and received 152 delegate votes at the Democratic National Convention. And there was also Ambassador Carol Moseley Braun, who ran for president in 2004. But I believe the biggest story of our recent elections have been that of the efforts of Black women around the country who, it has been repeatedly acknowledged, actually turned the tide of the 2020 national election, particularly as close as it was. Let us not forget Georgia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, among other key places. The continual work of Stacey Abrams and how activist Alicia Garza, a co-founder of the Black Lives Matter movement, has been actively organizing younger voters through the Black Futures Lab she's founded. All living into possibility. And not for nothing, I want to give a shout out to Nicole Presley, the Black woman who has been the national organizer for the UU the Vote campaign, which has been working in partnership with broader voter and justice movements around the country. And we have not ceased in our action. The work of these women and the efforts of Black women on behalf of love and justice across the nation shall continue. Whether it is in the life-giving gestures of loving the microcosm of a family, or the complexities of leading a city, this country, or sitting on the highest court of the land. As I consider the spiritual depths of being a Black woman who lives and moves in the ever-present and creative space of possibility, and the depth of being in Black women throughout my life, throughout these United States, and even those in our beloved denomination, I want to close today leaving you with these words from Alice Walker's poem, "The Nature of This Flower is to Bloom," accompanied by the paintings of Kehinde Wiley. The nature of this flower is to bloom, rebellious, living, against the elemental crush, a song of color, blooming for deserving eyes, blooming gloriously for itself. May all of us hold on and continue ever on and listen to the voices of those on the furthest margin to begin to understand what justice looks like, daring to live into the clear possibility of it unceasingly with courage and sacrifice. This is how it's done, my friends. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Everything's gonna be alright. Every little thing's gonna be alright. Paul and Silas were bound in jail, had no money for to pay their bill. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Paul and Silas began to shout. Jail broke open and they walked out. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. The only thing I did was wrong, was stay in bondage for way too long. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. The only thing I did was right, was the day I started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Fight on just a little while longer. Fight on just a little while longer. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. The only change that we can stand are the chains of hand in hand. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Freedom's name is mighty sweet, and soon one day we're gonna meet. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on.